Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly discussion panel, business discussion panel. Today we have a couple new people with us, and we're going to discuss some fun topics like what's the most difficult lesson you learned in business, and some other juicy topics like about hustle culture. So let's do introductions first. Oh, Lindsay's here. Let me add her in. Go ahead, Dana. You go first. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How do we find you online?
Hi, my name is Dana Rochester. I am the business manager at the Web Presence Boss Group. To find me online, you can get me at dana at webpresenceboss.com. Um, I am here to share my
Okay.
knowledge and to gain knowledge and to network. So I am here. I am very friendly. Say hi.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, I'm Sharon Schaefer Kinman, and I do social media marketing and management, and I've been doing it for about 2015. We'll have to say that the COVID pandemic really hurt my business, and so I'm working on trying to step that back up. And you can find me right now because I just took my website down. I'm propagating it over to another server, and you can get me on Facebook. Please message me if you have any questions or need anything.
Awesome. Sarah. Oh no, she's all pixelated again. Do you want to jump in Discord and I'll see if that audio shares? I'm not sure. Oh no. Technical difficulties. You're muted, by the way. You hit the mute button. It doesn't let me unmute her. She's got to do it. All right, Lindsay, let's move over to you. We'll go back to Sarah when she comes back. How are you? Who are you? What do you do? How do we find you?
I'm good. I'm Lindsay Rainwater. I am a psychic intrusion expert, and I work with psychopomps and death beauties, and basically I help people to figure out what they're hearing, sensing, seeing, how to handle it, and if people want to get into that transmutative energy and work that can come with some of these darker deities, I help them to figure that out. And I've been working with Archangel Azrael for 30 years, most of my life. And that's where that got started. Best place to find me right now is on Facebook. Just looking up Lindsay Rainwater, or Tempest Rising is my group name currently. And yeah. You muted yourself.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm happy on Mondays because I don't have to go to a job I hate anymore. So just be prepared if we do this Monday mornings. I'm always a little too cheerful. And let's see. So I am a best-selling ghostwriter. People hire me to write books for them. And a lifelong storyteller, literally, my mom says, as soon as I could speak in sentences, since those days. And am also starting to add what I call change your story coaching, which is not actually teaching people how to tell stories like for business, but rather changing their story, the story that we live by, the story that was imposed on you by your parents, by your classmates, by your teachers. Changing that story. I always say you can change your past by changing the story you tell about it. So everything is about perspective. Let's see what else. I am addicted to the beach. If you follow me, if you're friends with me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram, prepare to see lots of pictures and videos from the beach. You can never have too much beach. And as I've said before, and I will say again, I have the best cat ever to live.
Her cat is beautiful. It says hello to me every time I call her.
Yeah, my cat will actually speak to you. If I'm on the phone with someone and I say, want to say hello to Cynthia, she'll meow.
Super cute. All right, so what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Jennifer_Newman_storyteller. And I don't know why I only put my first name, but my name is Jennifer Newman if you want to connect with me on Facebook.
Awesome, awesome. Go ahead, Mariah. You're up next.
Hello, everyone. I am Mariah Christ. I'm a freelance B2B copywriter, although my specialty and personal favorite is blog writing. And I specialize in helping with business marketing, social branding, and I've always loved books and reading since I was a little girl. My mom says I was the only 3-year-old she knew who wanted to see the words after a movie, aka the movie credits, even though I couldn't read yet. And you can currently find me at my new website. I just rebranded spillthekeycopy.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at Mariah Christ, which is my name there.
Awesome, awesome. Melissa, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Melissa Herb, and I am a team member of Web Presence. I am a team member of Web Presence Bots. I am a copywriter, content writer, and a creative who helps their the clients achieve. I'm getting tongue twisted. I'm sorry. It's Monday. My name is Melissa Herb, and I am a team member of Web Presence Boss. I am a copywriter for Cynthia, and I help with her clients with their stories and also with their sales pages and their copywriting, getting their story out.
Brand messaging.
Yeah, brand messaging, basically. It's Monday.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into some of our discussion questions. Feel free to chime in, talk with each other. We'll also go one after the other for your own answers, and if anyone wants to chime in after somebody answers to give their input, that's welcomed. So let's start with the first fun question. What is the hardest lesson you've learned thanks to your business? Start with Dana since she's first on the screen.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, great. So for me in business, the hardest lesson that I have learned is that schedule is key. You will have so many things that need to get done, and you'll get up, you'll wake up, you'll have your coffee, you'll be pumped up and saying, hey, I'm going for this today. I need to get all of these things done. But the greatest and the most consistent way to get things done in order to keep the ball rolling is to ensure that you're operating off a schedule. So it's best to list the things that you have to take care of on a Monday, Tuesday, etc., and formulate a schedule that you stick by and just work by timing. Okay, 8 o'clock I do this, 9 o'clock I do that. And for me, that's a way how I can get my tasks completed. Otherwise you'll know that you'll have things to do and you'll spend a little too much time here or a little too little time there, or you'll forget that or something. And I mean, that's just not something that you can. There's no longevity in that. So yeah, that's it for me. Schedule.
Anyone have anything to say about scheduling?
I think it's really important that once you make the schedule, to adhere to the schedule.
Right.
Because it's really easy to say, "Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to go throw these clothes in the washer," because I work from home. So that was a big lesson, which comes back over to what I want to discuss when it's my turn.
Yep. I struggle with schedule, so that's why I hired Dana actually. So that works out pretty well. She keeps me on task for sure. And says, "Where are we at with this? Okay, work on it now." Go ahead, Sharon. What's the biggest lesson you learned?
Okay, so scheduling has always been a bit of a problem for me because I have fibromyalgia, and fibrofog is one of those things that really, really I have to work hard at every day to remember what I'm supposed to be doing or where I left off. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about is work-life balance. And I learned the hard way that sometimes you need to prioritize yourself before whatever responsibilities you have. For example, in 2020, we were all locked down, but my mom became really ill. My mom's 82. And I said, enough. We were taking her on a vacation. I was rather assertive with her primary doctor. But I ended up having to take her to 6 different doctors, to find specialists, to find out what was wrong with her, which was minor. It was amazing. But what happened is that I backburnered myself. And when I backburnered myself, that meant I also backburnered my business. And so it was like a twofold problem that I had because one, a lot of my clients are in the food and beverage industry because I have such a strong background there. And so they were hurting, and so they were dropping their marketing. Bad idea, but I understand where they were coming from. And then the other thing was just making sure that my mom was okay. I forgot to take care of myself. So please remember work-life balance. Oh, and do yoga and meditation. It's very, very helpful.
Leading it to Melissa. Go ahead. What's your biggest lesson learned in business?
My biggest lesson learned in business is to just keep going and trying, because if you have that fear, that imposter syndrome and holding yourself back, it's not going to help you move forward. Have that, as Sharon said, you have to have that work-life balance as well. I also suffer from chronic pain, and also I have back injuries and neck injuries, and I also have fibromyalgia as well. So I do get the brain fog totally.
It's the hardest part. It really is.
It is.
Because you can manage the pain, but it doesn't help your head.
No, it
So
doesn't.
it's good to have a backup person to help you. You called your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I met Melissa 5 years ago, and what attracted me to her content was she was talking about yoga. One of her blog posts I found, and then I followed her on Facebook. Was that it, Melissa?
That was it.
Okay. Lindsay, can you hear us?
She's muted.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I'm muted because I have 2 heathens, and randomly you'll just so if you hear just a random scream, I swear someone's not being murdered in my house. My kids are just insane. Hardest lesson that I've learned in business. I'm like weighing how esoteric I want to get with this. Cynthia and Melissa both know me. I'm like, I go off the rails very quickly. I think like keeping it very real and like something that everyone can understand, no matter what their business is it seems like your business is almost always going to be the thing that you struggle with the most. Like and I don't know if that applies to everybody. Like Dana, I don't know if you like super struggled with scheduling and that's why you learned why it's so important. And now it's like, it's a thing, it's your business. But the hardest lesson I learned for me was just that the things that I was most vulnerable about, the things that I was most ridiculed for as a kid, the things that tore the wounds open the most were actually the things that I needed to do. And I wish it hadn't taken me so long to just come to terms with that. But the fact is, like, I was teased mercilessly. I was ostracized for being that weird kid that heard voices and stuff. I was literally ejected from churches as a child by other children because they were like, "You're a freak, we don't want you here." So this was very much something I didn't, I was so wounded about. I didn't want to talk about psychic experiences. I didn't want to talk about the crazy side, the scary side of having spiritual abilities and stuff. And I've tried other things. I've tried to be a freelance writer. That did not work out. I've tried to have a real job. That really, really didn't work out. Real job, like in a brick and mortar store. I've tried a number of things and this is what I keep getting brought back to and keep getting brought back to. And so I finally, a number of years ago, was like, well, this is what we're doing. And it's actually helping people. So I think that was probably the hardest lesson, that it's like the thing that you've struggled with the most is often where you are going to help the most people and shine the brightest. It doesn't mean it's going to be an easy road.
What I'm hearing out of that, Lindsay, is, Lindsay, is be true to yourself. And that's why the other things didn't work, is because you were trying to be what people think of as normal. And I get that because I have a family member, my daughter actually is the same way as you are. And it's, I never distracted her from that. I felt that it should be embraced, that she was given a gift and she needed to use that gift. But in order to do that, you have to learn how to be true to yourself. And then that way you feel good about yourself and you have that confidence and self-esteem that carries you forward. That's my opinion, and that's what I taught my daughter. And I'm glad to hear that somebody else has had that struggle as well.
Yeah, and I would agree completely because, yeah, and I don't even think it has to be your business, but like, like Cynthia, what I know of Cynthia is like, and Melissa, like we're all kind of in that boat of like, we have all this other stuff going on, and that's not what Cynthia does professionally, but yet embracing that has made her, in my eyes anyway, a much more complete person, a more complete character. There's like that integrity there, even though she doesn't talk about it a ton. It's like she is embracing the whole picture of Cynthia, and it just makes her show up better as a business owner. And I hope I'm not just like projecting, but that's been my experience. Is, it's oftentimes it turns into the business. Sometimes it's not the business, but if you've been, I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this. I'm like trying to be so careful. I'm like, but when you've been through it, you're also in such a great position to help people with it, whatever it is. So I think that's been the hardest lesson. And sometimes there's just no freaking running away from it. You will be dragged back kicking and screaming if you at a certain point. So
Love it, love it. Yes, complete person. I am here. We lost Mariah. She's having some internet problems, just same as Sarah. Not sure if they'll pop back up, but if they do, we'll inject them back into the conversation. Jennifer, what is your biggest lesson learned in business?
So my biggest lesson learned in business is twofold, and bearing in mind that everything I do at this point is high ticket one-on-one, So this may not apply to everybody, but first of all, never ever ever discount your services to get a client. I cannot think of a single time I did that when I didn't regret it, and not because of the money I could have made, the more money I could have made, but rather every discounted client, with one exception, was a big problem, just nothing but trouble. And the ones who paid full price, my least difficult clients were the ones whom I charged the most. So that's one. The other is listen to the red flags. Every trouble client I had gave me red flags before I even handed them a contract. And I didn't listen, and I believed that I could still make this good and all of that. And it just, the only problem clients I had, they all gave me red flags beforehand. So I've learned to listen to them and have learned that there are certain clients that are just better not to have.
Yeah, I agree, Jennifer. I've actually walked away from a potential client because of that very reason. It just wasn't a good fit. Your client is not happy and you're not happy. So it's okay to say, no, I'm not going to take that client.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can totally attest to that. Not even so much in my business because I'm like in the process of making higher ticket offers and stuff. But this has been a huge thing in my husband's business because when scheduling came up, I cringed so hard because I'm like, there is no schedule here. You have no power here. Because we have two business owners and two homeschooled children in one house. Like, it's chaotic here. And we're finding workarounds to it. Like, I just hired a VA because I'm like, nothing's getting done. I'm hiring a VA. But my husband actually just got very riled up recently, and I was saying it was the big Aries energy that we just had come through. Because he's like, every time I try to be the nice guy, it backfires. Every time I try to give somebody a break on prices, or I lower my percentage, because he's a general contractor, so he makes his money off of percentages of the total project. And so even bumping his percentage down a couple points can make a big difference in how much somebody pays for the total project. And he's just like, never again. I'm not doing it ever again. Because he just got absolutely run through the ringer by somebody. Two clients in the same month just tried to pin him with stuff, and they tried to get him to pay for stuff that was a problem long before he ever even met them. Like, nope, this is your fault. You have to warranty this. And he's like, no, I do not. Someone else just really tried to drag his name through the mud because she decided she didn't like him. It was, and the whole thing, he's like, same thing though. He's like, these people gave off red flags. Like, soon as I met him, I'm like, you're weird. You're going to be a problem, aren't you? But I did the job anyway because I was trying to help them. So that's any industry too. Like, I've seen people, like, obviously I'm immersed in the spiritual industry, and people are like, oh, but I want to help people, so I'm going to lower my prices. And I'm like, please don't. Please don't. So yeah, that's really good advice.
So funny, I posted yesterday kind of on this topic. Throwback to the time a client told me I shouldn't be posting on Facebook, get to work on her website. I just thought that was really funny. No sense whatsoever. And she was a very low-paying client. She bought a WordPress theme installation, and she was struggling with it, and she hadn't paid for the upgrade for me to put her content in, but I was trying to help her anyway. And oh my God, she was just the worst client I ever had in my life. Like, she paid $200 to have me set up her website, install the theme, and show her how to use it. And then she was a Beachbody coach. She sicked her entire team of coaches, like 30 women, to harass me in my Facebook group and across these other Facebook groups that we were all part of. It was terrible.
Wow.
Hi, Jacques. How are you? We got some comments coming in. He says he's worked for me on some WordPress sites through Fiverr. I'm not surprised. I'm doing good, thank you. And Faith says she wants to try scheduling her to-do lists. So we kind of scheduled that for you, Faith. We put due dates. But I guess you mean like schedule your day to get to them. So let's talk a little bit about scheduling yourself and hustle culture. We all hate hustle culture, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
How has hustle culture impacted your career, business life? Go ahead, Dana. You go first.
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. What exactly is hustle culture?
Can I share a quick example?
Go ahead.
Sure.
And I need to get off camera because my kid's up there like, no. I don't even want to say it's really affected my business too much because I've watched, again, two business owners. I watched my husband burn himself out because, it's construction. So starting about this time of year when it's not snowing, the 12-hour days, the 12, 14, 16-hour days start, even though he's in management now and he just goes and goes and goes. And I have to be like, you're taking this Saturday off or you're going to drive yourself into the ground and you're going to get sick and then you're going to be mad because you're sick. Like, and that's not even hustle culture, but that's what I see. So I've tried to not let that affect me. I try to take that time because I'm also parenting two kids and whatnot. And I am, especially during the summer and he's so busy, like I'm the primary caregiver, obviously. But I think the like hustle culture thing that's hit me the most is people telling me when I'm like, I'm not getting anything done. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me because I didn't realize I had ADHD. I didn't realize I had depression and anxiety. And these things were like really giving me a very hard time. And I'm like, I'm not sleeping well. I have this baby. I don't know what to do with it. So my maternal instinct did not kick in the way people said it was going to. And I'm like, I love it, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm trying to run a business. And they're like, oh, just get up an hour earlier. And I'm like, that's your advice. And they're like, oh, if you don't want to do that, just stay up an hour later. I'm like, I am literally already getting about 3 hours of solid sleep a night. And they're like, oh, well, you can just do work then. And I'm like, you're so dumb. So that was how hustle culture hit me, I think, just like, oh, you're already completely stressed out, completely spread thin. Just spread yourself thin or you'll be fine. I'm like, no, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because I already was this close. Like one day I looked at my husband. I breed terrible sleepers. And for the first till Braum was about 3, I did not get more than 60 minutes at a whack of sleep. I was so sleep deprived. There were days I'm like, I can't drive. I don't trust myself to drive. No amount of caffeine is going to fix this. And I literally got to a point where I looked at Corey and was like, we have to figure out a way to fix this or I am going to check myself into a mental hospital. And to have someone go, oh, just get up earlier was like, I will hunt you down. I will find you. So I think that was how it hit me. Just this idea of like, go constantly all the time. And then they don't talk about the burnout. They don't talk about what happens when you crash and burn. What happens, and Sharon kind of touched on that. Like what happens when you are no longer capable of taking care of the people that need you? What happens when you burn your thyroid out or, burn your heart out or whatever it is. And people don't talk about that. So
I think anxiety is a big part of a difficulty in burning yourself out because you feel anxious to get things done and you're like, anxious, is this adequate enough? And I don't know. I know my anxiety got the best of me a few times and I'd work 16 hours days in a row to make things happen. And that's just kind of what hustle culture is, I guess. Like nonstop go.
Yeah, comparisonitis comes in.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the most and I will stop talking after this, I promise. But I think that's one of the more toxic traits of hustle culture is you have a tendency to get the people, and hustle culture is part of the problem with like the, oh look, I've got a Ferrari. Oh look, I'm in a private jet. Oh look, I've got, as someone who owns a Coach bag, like I understand wanting nice things, but you get, they're the worst perpetrators most of the time of the comparisonitis. The, oh, look how amazing I am. How are you doing? And I'm like, I'm great in my $20 skull sweater. Like, I don't understand why this is a thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay. For me, it's pretty much more of the same. Because when, as I told you guys last week, I used to be a trainer for Amazon, and I was training hundreds and hundreds of people there, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna start my business. Now, business management, all of that project management, it was like a new niche for me. So when I just started, it was it was a bunch I was feeling a whole lot of different feelings. I was trying to learn something new. I was trying to keep it going at the same time, and I was trying to keep my clients happy. um I mean, there was just always something else to do, always something else to learn. And I mean, there is a burnout. I'm a mother. I have two boys. So I noticed that, you know, being starting my business, being at home, if I don't get everything together, I don't eat. My kids don't eat. That can bring forward a high level of anxiety, because I am in a position where I have to make sure that everything works and works the right way, or else I'm in a problem. So, there were phases where I was very anxious, very worried. But as time progressed, and as I noticed that how, as I learned more, my anxiety would reduce. So it's like, okay, I'm going to work with this company. My first instinct is to get to learn everything or as much about the company that I can. That's going to keep my mind calmer. And then from there, scheduling. But the whole hustling and trying to do 1 million things at once, it really, really, really can lead you to burnout and probably sick. You'll have to go to the doctor. So yeah, that was it for me. My roughest time was when I just started out.
Yep. So burning out, starting out, definitely anxiety. I see a trend
Yeah.
here. We all seem to hustle because of anxiety, but and comparisonitis for sure, like Lindsay said. I think when I stopped comparing myself to other agency owners,
Mhm.
when I started to excel and get beyond them a little bit. I mean, there's still a few that are beyond me, but I don't sit there like, what are they doing different? How can I achieve this differently anymore? It's kind of like follow my own path. And that seems to be working pretty well. I keep improving every quarter is a little better than the last. So I think my advice for moving forward is follow what makes you you and makes you unique as a business. And then you'll see that hustle isn't needed as hardcore as other people make it out to be. Like, oh, just sleep less. No thanks. Sleep's important. Don't sacrifice your health. If you feel like you need to hustle more, you should probably hire help. Get some extra hands in the business. Who are we up? Who's up next? Was it
I think
Sharon?
yeah, I think it's me. Um, what I noticed, and I agree with everything that everybody has said so far with the hustle culture, but what I noticed was, again, during the pandemic, everything slowed down. People were working from their homes. There wasn't that kind of that hustle that goes on inside of a bricks and mortar place, and things were still getting done. And they don't understand why people don't want to leave their home and come back to work. Well, that's why, if you're doing your job, then you don't need to worry about it. But that canceled out a lot of the hustle because you didn't have to get the kids up, get them to school, take them to preschool, go through the drive through at Starbucks, get your coffee because you're already tired from the day before, and none of that mattered anymore. And I think that is something that a lot of people have learned. And I think maybe the dynamic of hustle culture might just become a little bit less hustle. And I'm really hoping that's the case because you get caught up in those cycles, and the next thing you know, you're burning out and you feel like you're drowning, you're going down a hole, and you don't want to go there. So that's my take on it. I'm thinking that hopefully, if we learned anything in the last year or so, is that you can still accomplish things and not have to have all that other stuff that revolves that you think you need or needs to revolve around it. And it's just prioritizing as well.
Makes sense. Scheduling that time properly.
Hmm.
Get your rest. Anybody else want to chime in? Melissa?
Yes, I just want to add to what I had said earlier. As your business expands, I know some people, they tend to like the comfort of handling everything themselves. For example, they trust themselves to get the job done to the best that it can really be done. But the reality of the situation is, as your business grows, it gets to a point where it is impossible for you to do it yourself. So, as it grows, it is very important to get more hands on deck, or else your burnout is only going to come quicker. So, it makes sense to take the time to really plan out if you need one person, two-person, or what is it that you really need, and find a way to get someone to help you or some people to help you with that. At the same time, you're not just going to go out and hire everybody in your site, but you're going to, plan and strategize how you hire and hire incrementally and stuff like that based on the needs of the business. So it's very important not to try to do everything yourself, even though many people instinctively would like to be the person taking care of everything because they are more comfortable knowing that they get the job done.
Love it, love it. Uh, Melissa, you got something to say on the topic?
The culture, I've been through it and it just leads to burnout, honestly. It's important for time management. It's important to set your priorities, have a daily task, daily to-do list so you can keep track of tasks of what is important and prioritize that. Because when you're, constantly going, your health can deteriorate and you get tired, you just get fatigued, you get brain fog, you get confusion, so because your head's spinning and you have so many things you want to do and have to do, and it's important to just slow down. Health is important and self-care is more important than with the than the hustle culture.
Jennifer, anything you want to say on the topic of hustle culture, how it's impacted you in any way, how you overcame it?
So I have never been a fan of hustle culture because if I wanted to do that, I would have just stayed at my corporate job that paid well, but just what's the word? Destroyed my soul a little more each day. Um, I would say the closest I've come in my business to hustle culture is feeling like when clients message me that I have to respond right away. And it took me some time to just kind of say to myself, I will respond. They don't, I'm not a surgeon and I'm not doing transplant on them. They don't need anything from me to survive in this moment. And if I get back to them in a couple of hours, tomorrow morning, whatever it is, that's not the end of the world. We'll all survive and I won't have done a bad job. And that's something I really had to train myself to do because I have clients all pretty much all over the world, and I get quite a few clients from Australia, and the time difference means sometimes they'll message me in the middle of the night. And I'm a little ashamed to admit that there was a time when I'd be awakened by this and actually respond and then go back to sleep. And then at some point it hit me like, what the hell am I doing this for? So it's pretty much my experience with hustle culture.
So that brings me to my next question for everyone. Setting boundaries around your business, with your clients, with your team members. What kind of boundaries have you found helpful? And which ones do you find tend to slide pretty often? And how do you count the sliding? Dana, you want to go first?
Yes, sure. Just rolling off what Jennifer just said, it is very important to set boundaries with your clients. And I mean, me and myself and Cynthia, we had this discussion. They need to know what they're paying for or what is included in their package or what we are prepared to do. For example, Cynthia told us about her experience with her client telling her to stop posting on Facebook. That clearly is some misunderstanding of some sort. That client must have thought that, okay, because I am paying you my grand $200, that means that you do absolutely nothing until my website is complete. That definitely is not the case. So we need to outline clearly when we are hiring our clients that, hey, depending on what we are able to do or what we're willing to do or what we have the capacity to do, we can say, hey, we have a 1 hour check-in every week or every month or whatever it is. As a business owner, you can clearly outline what you are able to do and let them know that, look, listen, if you send me a message, you can expect a response within or an hour, or depend between these hours you can expect a response within an hour. So it has to be clear for them. And then, I mean, by being clear and by setting your boundaries, it will also outline who are the troublemakers from very early, because they tend to be the ones that don't want to respect boundaries. And then you can make an early decision. Do I want to have to handle this client for X amount of months, or do I not? Because sometimes, yeah, it's good to get the money in, but sometimes the headache that you're going to get from a client, it's really not worth it. I mean, there will be other clients, there'll always be others. So, you have a good decision to make right then and there. So, I mean, it's very, from the offset, set your boundaries, let them know what they're getting into, and they have to accept that from the get go.
Love it, love it. Sharon, any boundaries that you've had set or let slide? How'd you overcome it?
I started out, I was telling Cynthia the other day, I just onboarded a partner, and it happens to be my sister. So you have that dynamic to start with. And she is a take charge person, which my whole family's like that. But what I had to make her understand is that just because there's an emergency on your part doesn't make it my emergency. So therefore, if I don't get right back to you, it's because I'm doing something else for a client, and they're just as important as whatever the problem is. So if it doesn't apply to anything that truly is an emergency, then we're going to have to wait. And a lot of times by then she's got it all straightened out anyway. Um, so that's how we rectify it, was me just saying. And that's a hard part. If you're working with family, hard part is you don't want to make family mad at you, but at the same time, you don't want to lose yourself over to a strong family member. So that was one of the takeaways I had. Another one is I have an author client, and I love her. It's just, she's so nice. But she didn't know boundaries. She is a widowed older woman and a very good storyteller, but I had to make her start texting me instead of calling me every time something came up, because I was answering my phone all the time because she was lonely, truthfully. But anyway, so once we put that boundary in there, and the fact that we're not meeting at the coffee shop before 9 o'clock, that's not happening. So once those boundaries were in place, she's just a delight. I really like her, but you can be assertive without being offensive. And it's kind of a diplomacy thing, but it can be done. And again, it all comes back to don't lose yourself, be true to yourself, and things will get done.
Love that advice. Excellent. Um, I've never had family work for me, but friends. I've been friends with Melissa for 5 years, and she's working with me now. So she understands boundaries very well and does not overstep ever. And I tried to extend it to her because we're both pretty good with setting our own boundaries and establishing like this is okay and this is not. And I think it's just friendly discussion, diplomacy, like you said. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm just like in a mood, I let her know, hey, it's not a good time. I'm having some struggles right now, and she'll just send a heart emoji and be like, I'm here if you need me. Kind of how we work.
Yeah.
Melissa, any you want to talk about?
Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, stepping boundary, like you said a lot with what I was going to say. We understand each other, and when you're like, hey, this is not a good time, I'm just like, I'm here if you need me. When it comes to boundaries, it's so important to set them with your clients. And before, when a few years back, when I was starting to get into this entrepreneurial journey, I was not setting boundaries with clients. And that really led me to fatigue and burnout and overwhelm. So it's important to have that set boundaries, and, they understand that what they are paying for, they're paying for a service. They're not paying to access you 24/7.
Right. Oop, sorry. I'm going to make you all motion sickness because they keep bumping my lap or my Chromebook. Sorry. I have people in my house and I didn't want to wake them up. They work nights. So I'm in my bedroom.
Gotcha. That's all good. Boundaries, right?
Right. My door's shut. Don't bother me.
Lindsay, I know you wanted to talk about hiring a VA recently. Did you touch on that yet?
No, it was more just like if it's relevant. I mean, right now we're talking boundaries, which I guess she kind of factors in there, just because I want to point out, like, yes, boundaries boundaries are important in all areas of life, but your boundaries also don't have to make sense to other people as long as it makes sense to the right people. Because like in my line of work, I help people with really esoteric concepts. And if you experience this or believe in this, you know, when you're dealing with things outside of you that are on a scope that we can't really wrap our minds around, we can't measure them, weigh them, they don't work on our timetable all the time. And so I tell my clients, because normally I do video calls with people, but there's like ongoing, excuse me, like not texting, but Facebook Messenger or something. And I'm like, okay, you can text me at any time. Like, I don't care if you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like mind blown because something just happened. Write it down and freaking text me. I'm fine with that. I will not respond until like these times. And some people are like, oh, that would make me crazy because I would feel the need to respond to it right then. And I'm like, see, I'm very upfront about that. Like, I actually have it in my contract with clients that it's like, I respond to messages from this hour to this hour on these days. I may get back to you at weird hours or over the weekend. That does not, like, it's I forget exactly how I worded it, but it's literally in the contract that it's like, just because I get a hold of you outside those hours once does not make you entitled to my time outside of these hours at any other given time. And so far, I've had no problems with that. If I end up having a problem, we'll change it. But I'm just, I literally overheard someone one time on a business call, and they were like, well, talking about boundaries, set those times so that people don't think that you're going to get back to them when they have a crisis at 2 a.m. And she's like, but 9 to 5, Monday through Friday doesn't work for me. And like this poor woman was so stuck on that because like, that's what everybody did. And they were like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I think she still had a regular job. So she's like, but about this, and they're like, okay, so make your boundaries over here. Like, tell people I'm not available at these times. You don't even have to tell them why. Like, right. So that's been my thing is your boundaries are your boundaries for a reason. And as long as it works for you and the client, that's all that matters. Oh, and that's another thing. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. Like, forever, constantly, because ADHD, if I hear it ding, it'll sit there and bug me. Like, and then I'll pick it up and I'll be annoyed because it was some stupid, like right then I just picked it up and it went buzz buzz and I'm like, set it down. So like one of my boundaries is my phone is on Do Not Disturb because nothing, like was said, I'm not a surgeon. I'm not doing a transplant on you. Your world is not going to fall apart if I don't get back to you in the next few minutes. And let's be honest, most of the time I'm sitting in front of the computer, so I'll probably see the notification. So it's like, I don't care if you text me at 2 a.m. because my phone's not going off. So
one of the things that I did was, okay, for on your business page where you can, put your hours on when you're, when you're open. In the beginning, I had it as always open, which was a social media marketing manager thing at the time. But I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore because I didn't want somebody calling me at 9 o'clock at night when that's my time with my husband. At the time, I didn't have a full house of people and my dog. And so I went back in and put hours in that I would be available for them at this time to this time. And then as they became clients, then I would let them know, hey, if I'm not responding to you during these times, I will get back to you. And I don't have it in a contract or anything. It was just always a verbal thing. I will get to you. you just have to understand that it's not always going to be immediate. And so I think Lindsay was on the right track with that. And I think about the do not disturb. I don't have ADHD. I can ignore my phone all day if I want. So no big deal there. And I have, by the way. If it's Sunday, nobody gets me.
Makes sense. I use do not disturb as well. Also ADHD problems. The only messages that are allowed to intrude through are my dad and my boyfriend and my mom,
Mm-hmm.
my brothers, which who never call me anyway. So yeah, I keep that
Yeah.
very,
Family.
very important.
And like that's a boundary too. And I think a very a very business one. God, a very important one when it comes to being a business owner is I've set my phone up to where even if my parents text me, my phone does not go off, because if it's a text, it's not an emergency. So I've set it up to where if my parents call me, which they don't very often because we're better at texting back and forth, and I see them every couple days anyway. But it's like if I'm on a client call, the phone does not ring unless it's my mom. And if my mom is calling me, she normally has and I'm on a business call, she has my children. So it's like there's that. Like, okay, I'm going home to work. She knows not to call me unless it's an emergency. But that is there. But one day she, jokingly gave me a hard time about the fact that I won't know if she texts me. And I'm like, I will not have my phone going off while I'm working with people. And, she totally understands that. But I've actually had a couple people who are no longer in my life because they got all pissy, like, well, what do you mean I can't get a hold of you? You're home all day. And I'm like, no, I'm not just home all day. I'm homeschooling 2 children. You don't need to be interrupting that, one of whom is ADHD. So that adds a whole other level on to I get distracted, he gets distracted, nothing gets done. Okay. And then it's like, no, I'm not just home all day. So even those boundaries, because I even put one in place with this person who's no longer in my life, because she thought it was okay to just show up at my house. And I went, if you come to my door without calling first, I will not answer. Because she did it once. And I went, never do that again. I will shut the door in your face, or I'm just not going to answer. And she didn't see what the big deal was. And I'm like, I don't care if you don't see what the big deal is. You don't have to understand it for me to be able to say, you're not allowed to just show up at my house.
Yeah, that's breaking a boundary big time.
And that was her favorite thing to do, was just test and test and test, which is why we finally were like, we're done. Just don't.
You know what? One of the things I did, I'm going to put my hands up here so I quit bumping my computer. One of the things I did on my phone is I assigned every family member a ringtone. So if anything else comes in, I know it's not my daughter, my sister. Well, my sister now I answer immediately because, she might have something work-related going on. But if it's, if they all have ringtones, like my mom, just like you were saying, my mom is kind of relies on me, even though she's healthy again. She can't hear. I'm her hearing aid. So, a lot of times, there's that, and she needs clarification on something. And so, yeah, I answer it because it's my mom. But if I know she's good, then I will let that go also. And I keep telling her, stop calling me, text me. But sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. But my siblings all text me. We all have busy schedules, and so we just text, and we know we'll get back to each other. So again, it's one of those boundaries that you were talking about. But in order to keep my sanity and know that it was somebody that I probably would want to talk to, I assign ringtones to them. So now I know who's calling before I even get up to get my phone.
Makes sense. I like that idea. I used to do that a long time ago before Do Not Disturb existed.
My mom's text duck quacks.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I have Jennifer, our friend Jennifer here, set to the X-Files theme song. Whenever she calls me, I hear X Files. It's funny.
Yes, I'm an X-Files fan.
Jennifer, you want to go about any boundaries, stuff like that?
I guess the biggest boundary I've had to set is that because of the nature of what I do, a lot of clients kind of see me as a therapist, which I don't really mind. I have a degree in psychology, and as part of the reason I'm adding coaching, I actually enjoy that aspect of it, but I'm not a beck and call girl, like I don't want people to think that every time they have a problem, a lot of times that's not even related to the book we're writing, I end up hearing about it, and sometimes it gets treated like I need to speak to you right away. So I've had to learn to set boundaries and just say, okay, we need to focus on what's going in this book, and we need to keep it to during business hours and things like that, because that I think has been the biggest issue. I've noticed, and I even noticed this back when I was still in corporate, that cell phones mean it's very different from our parents' generation. I mean, I think back when I was a kid, my dad would get called in a lot. My dad's an engineer, and he was able apparently to do certain things that the rest of them couldn't, and it got to where my parents trained me that if the phone rang in the evening, my dad would say, I'm not home. And I used to get scared and think, what if they start asking questions? And I'd say, what if they say, when are you coming back? And my dad would say, late tonight. So at least there was one could argue maybe my parents asking me to lie for them wasn't the greatest idea, but there was some interception there. Now, with everybody having text and social media and whatever, there's this expectation that if I'm on Facebook at 11 o'clock at night, that I should be responding to client messages at 11 o'clock at night. And that's just not going to happen. So setting boundaries like that, like this understanding of just because you see me on Facebook doesn't mean I'm working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, because it has happened to me several times. It's like, no, I'll get back to you tomorrow. This is my time. And I'm very, very protective, possessive of my time, because I learned the hard way. If you're not, nobody else is going to, and you're going to become sick from it. So yeah, stand up for yourself.
Yeah. And again, like even other industries, my husband actually changed his voicemail to where it's like, this person, da 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 da. But then it's like, if you are calling after this hour, Monday through Friday, or like, yeah, it was basically like, I do not return calls or texts from this time to this time. And like, just no, we're not doing that, because he had people calling him at like 10:30 at night, slightly drunk, asking, I mean, like, this is an oversimplification, but basically asking when their remodel was going to be done or their house was going to be done. And he's like, it's 10:30 at night. What am I supposed to do with your house? And so he had to set these hard line boundaries with people, because he's like, dude, like, there's nothing I can do about it overnight. Like, it's not an emergency unless your house is burning down. And if it is, I'm not the person you should be calling. So yeah, people are nuts as far as like, they get it in their head, like if they call you right now and demand your attention or tell you quit posting on Facebook, like it's going to change something. It's going to make things get done faster. And it's like, you're an idiot. Stop it.
My favorite thing about the stop posting on Facebook is I own Batch.me, which is a scheduler, which schedules those posts to go to Facebook. So I'm not even there actually most of the time. That's the funniest thing ever to me.
Yeah.
That energy is good.
What I found too is that if, because of that reason, people think you're working all the time. I'm really not on social media except for work. And that's frustrating, because I want to keep up with my friends that I can't see because they live too far away, with their kids and grandkids, because I'm old. And, it's very aggravating when somebody's popping in and it's like 9 o'clock at night. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not answering you. I just like X out and be done. and it's frustrating. So it's my take.
Yeah, since I've had that client, most people understand now. I've made it very clear that I use schedulers and they see I use schedulers.
Hmm.
And Facebook has made it obvious that we use schedulers because it'll say posted by batch.me right in the group.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
and even then, it's like I have a weird thing about using schedulers. Like I signed up for the lifetime subscription to send me a scheduler, and I still don't use it because I'm like, I don't know. So that's part of what my VA is doing because I literally batch content. I make a bunch of content, and then all I need to do is like drip feed it. You'd think that that would be okay. It's like a 10-minute process every day. No, I will literally forget to do it. So that's one reason I
also set
hired.
it to auto repeat for you so you'd never have to do it again.
I know. I have this weird thing about using schedulers. There's some part of me in the back of my mind that's just like, we hates it. And I'm like, I don't know how many Lord of the Rings comments I'm going to make today. And so but like, I have someone doing that for me now and responding to people for me. So it's not even me. I woke up confused because I was getting notifications about people commenting on something. And I'm like, what just happened? Because this VA relationship's super new, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that already. So yeah, I was gonna say that energy reminds me of when my sister-in-law worked at the UPS store for a short period of time, and she's, obviously she's not running a business, but this woman came in and was just being horrible and super demanding, but like basically walks in, only customer in the store, and she's like, I expect your full attention this entire time because I am here and I pay your. And she's like, can you just tell me what you need? Like, and someone else walked in. Well, they're required to greet people coming into the store. So she's just like, hi, how are you today? I'll be with you in a minute. And this woman's like, how dare you speak to someone else? You're helping me. And I'm like, where do these people come from? And then we see how that leaks into business. Like, you're not allowed to post on social media. Like, what are you gonna do? Lock me in a closet until I finish your project? That's terrifying.
The funny thing was her project was considered done and delivered, and she was just getting free help afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I implemented. You can buy a support plan for additional help, and you schedule your hour here. Oh my goodness, long learning curve on some of these. Like people have reactions that I never even fathomed they would have. 20 years in, and I still get some weird reactions. Like what? So I think that's it for this episode, unless Jennifer has something else to chime in with. She's been quiet.
No, actually, I've said my piece, I think.
All right.
So
So
thank you.
awesome. Let's go ahead and do our exit. Tell us who you are, where to find you, and if you have any good freebies, where to find those. Go ahead, Dana.
Uh-oh.
She's
Uh-oh. My name is Dana Rochester. Dana Rochester. You can find me at Dana at webpresenceboss.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And, you can reach out and we can talk from there.
Good, Sharon.
okay. Sharon Schaefer Kinman. For now, you can find me on Facebook. You can always find me on Facebook. For now, that's what I'm working through while I'm redoing the website thing and getting it moved over to the server. And I will get to you. Just send me a message.
Good, Melissa. You're on mute.
Hi, I'm Melissa Herb, and you can find me on hello at Melissa at webpresenceboss.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Melissa Herb Official.
Awesome. Lindsay, unmute yourself.
Lindsay Rainwater, if you're interested in spiritual and esoteric weirdness, you're welcome to find me on Facebook. If we don't have mutuals, please message me and tell me why you're asking me to be friends. I get twitchy about people I don't know.
Yeah.
Facebook is the best place to find me right now.
Awesome. Jennifer.
Hey guys, so I can be found on Facebook at Jennifer Newman and on Instagram at Jennifer_Newman_storyteller. And also on LinkedIn at Jennifer Newman, but I'm still figuring that one out. So while I technically have thousands of connections, I haven't really done anything with it. So, but it's another place I can, you can connect with me.
Awesome. So you can find me webpresenceboss.com. There's a little chat bubble there that sends a text message to our text message marketing team. And I am a rep on that little platform as well. So you might get me or Dana or Melissa or Sarah or one of the other team members. Instagram, Web Presence Boss. That's a big place to find me. And on LinkedIn, Cynthia Scrum. I am hanging out on all those places. I also stream to YouTube and Twitch. You can find tutorials there. Twitch is more of a live stream. You got to catch it while it's live. YouTube, you can see them after, but I stream to both, so follow both. And if you need tutorials, just send me a message. I will make them. So, Jennifer, if you would like, I'll do a live stream on how to use LinkedIn for business. It's pretty easy.
That would be great, actually, because I have the patience of a toddler on a sugar high. So if I post something on LinkedIn and it's not getting traction, then I'm done. On to something else.
LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of views, but not so many comments sometimes. So LinkedIn's a weird little place to be. But yeah. If you want to be on the discussion panel, just shoot me a message. Head over to webpresenceboss.com and click the button to send us a text message, and someone will send you the link to sign up. And we're also doing one-on-one podcast episodes, so you can request that as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Monday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great week, everyone.
Nice meeting y'all.
Bye.